Match 19, Gorosaurus vs. Godzilla, Heisei, by Christian Salibert. Godzilla was tired as he surfaced from the sea and climbed onto the sandy shores of Monster Island. Water poured from his scaly hide as he shook himself off and made his way inland. The king of the monsters was at peace, enjoying the serenity of the island. He occasionally tired of all the fighting he found himself in, and enjoyed the quiet when he could. Today he decided to take a break from his aquatic slumber and check in on Minya. Aww.
To kill him.
Yeah. As the mighty reptile traversed through the thick jungle, he heard a strange crunching sound. He suddenly came to a clearing, and his eyes fell upon the source of the noise. Which, I don't know, I think just played? Just kidding. There was Gorosaurus, feasting on what appeared to be the remains of a giant condor.
And just like that, MMS triggered.
The dinosaur had...
my phone started ringing, so...
Oh, okay.
I didn't answer it, so I just kept a little mute so you won't hear it.
Alright. The dinosaur had apparently been devouring his kill, and had just now noticed the approaching Godzilla. Gorosaurus immediately stood and rose up to his full height. Glaring straight at Godzilla, the reptile let out an ear-splitting roar, a warning to back off and stay away. Pass.
Godzilla snarled and growled in response. He had no desire to fight, but he wasn't about to let Gorosaurus forget his place. Godzilla let out a roar of his own, posing his arms in a threatening position. Gorosaurus clenched his own claws, flexed his jaws, and let out a low growl. The two saurians glared at each other, each commanding the other to back down with their eyes, but neither would budge, not wanting to let the other think they were superior. Hoping to intimidate Gorosaurus into backing down, Godzilla made the first move and took a single step forward. Gorosaurus raised his head and let loose a cry of war into the skies. He charged. Godzilla reared back in surprise as Gorosaurus attacked. He had thought the dinosaur would have been frightened by his tactic, but instead sent the reptilian creature into a rage. Godzilla flexed his arms and prepared to meet Gorosaurus in battle. In mid-step, Godzilla spun around, swinging his tail in low in an attempt to knock Gorosaurus' legs out from under him. Instead, Gorosaurus leapt clear over Godzilla's tail and landed safely on his feet. As Godzilla completed his turn nearly facing Gorosaurus, the dinosaur lashed out and clamped his jaws down onto Godzilla's right arm. Godzilla cried out as Gorosaurus' teeth sank into his flesh and tried pulling his arm out. That only worsened the attack, sinking Gorosaurus' teeth in deeper. Swinging his left hand as hard as he could, Godzilla delivered a punch to the side of Gorosaurus' head, dazing the beast and causing him to release his toothy grasp. Godzilla roared angrily and charged forward, preparing to retaliate, when Gorosaurus suddenly reared up onto his tail and lashed out with both legs. The move caught Godzilla by surprise, and he was sent tumbling through the air, crashing down onto his back. Godzilla roared in anger at himself for falling to his opponent and quickly returned to his feet. But Gorosaurus had closed the gap between the two and once again rose onto his tail. The Allosaurus' feet made contact with Godzilla's chest and again sent him crashing to the ground. Go, Goro, and pass.
Gorosaurus roared at Godzilla, telling him to stay down. Gorosaurus had no desire to fight either, but he warned Godzilla to stay away from his meal, a warning that the Monster King had ignored. Gorosaurus had no intention of giving a warning he couldn't back up, so Godzilla settled for a ban. Godzilla, meanwhile, had rolled onto his stomach in an attempt to get back to his feet. Just as he began to rise, his tail flicked upwards. Gorosaurus took the opportunity, seizing the end of Godzilla's tail in his jaws. Now on his feet, Godzilla roared fiercely. He tried to turn to face Gorosaurus, but the dinosaur simply held his bite and disappeared behind Godzilla. The king of the monsters roared in frustration as he realized that Gorosaurus was out of reach and was biting down even harder. Not satisfied with his clamping jaws alone, Gorosaurus reached out with his tiny hands and began to claw at Godzilla's tail with his hands.
Nailed it.
Knowing that the end of his tail would be lost anyway, Godzilla strained the muscles within his tail. With a mighty tug, he pulled his tail clear from his opponent's jaw, shredding his own flesh in the process. Roaring fiercely, Godzilla spun around and lunged towards Gorosaurus. Oh my. The oversized Allosaurus immediately reared back onto his tail, but Godzilla was quick to counter. His dorsal fins flashing with bluish light, Godzilla opened his jaws and fired forth a radioactive blast. The beam struck Gorosaurus, struck in the square in the chest and carried him off his tail and into the air, shrieking as he went. Gorosaurus struck the ground with a thunderous crash and pass.
And Godzilla walked over to investigate the prone form of Gorosaurus. He took note of the burn marks on the dinosaur's chest and watched him, waiting for Gorosaurus to make a move. When he didn't, Godzilla growled approvingly. With no warning at all, Gorosaurus flipped up onto his feet and began clawing at Godzilla with his stubby arms. Godzilla responded in kind, only to soon discover they weren't going to get anywhere. Godzilla had the better reach, but Gorosaurus' claws were sharper. Before Godzilla could change tactics, Gorosaurus lunged forward and clamped his jaws around Godzilla's throat. Godzilla cried out in surprise, a cry which was cut short as Gorosaurus applied more pressure to his bite, closing Godzilla's windpipe. Godzilla began pounding on Gorosaurus' head, but this time the prehistoric beast was not to be deterred. Harder and harder Gorosaurus bit, his teeth almost fully hidden within Godzilla's neck. The mighty Saurian tried to summon his atomic ray, but he couldn't fire it with his throat closing up. Blood dripped down Godzilla's neck. Godzilla's dorsal fin suddenly flashed with light again, but this time the light spread to Godzilla's entire body. The energy coursed through him for a moment before a powerful blue shockwave exploded from his body. The nuclear pulse ripped Gorosaurus from Godzilla's throat and sent him flying several miles back.
Miles?
Yeah. Sending him...
That's...
Sending...
This is a magic manga scene right there.
Sending him crashing into the jungle. Godzilla rasped out a weak roar as his throat already began to heal. Pass.
Making his way to the motionless Gorosaurus 5 miles later.
I'm trying to beat the water and everything. Eber is just watching. What the hell's going on?
Alright, let's just give you a moment. We'll talk about the Miles thing in a bit. Godzilla once again investigated his foe's body, making sure to keep his distance. Godzilla's lips curled as he took the smell of burnt flesh, watching Gorosaurus' body smoke and sizzle. Despite some occasional twitching, Gorosaurus wasn't moving. No surprise attacks were coming this time. Rearing his head back, Godzilla let out a roar of victory. The title of King of the Monsters was still his. He turned away and renewed his search for Minya. Gorosaurus
To kill him.
Yeah. Gorosaurus felt as if his entire body was on fire. It hurt to even breathe. The defeated predator doubted he would die from his wounds, but knew it would take ages for him to fully heal. At the moment, however, he was engulfed in a level of pain he didn't even know existed. Gorosaurus closed his eyes and let unconsciousness claim him. Winner, Godzilla.
And then Angus came along and with a Sharpie and drew some questionable stuff on his face.
But yeah, that Miles thing, am I right? It's like, I don't know.
That was a nice little surprise.
Behind the scenes, it wasn't the atomic pulse that knocked Gorosaurus out. It was the fact he flew so far and so high into the air that he came down and broke every bone in his body.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, Miles is a very exaggerated statement. Oh my god. Miles.
Watch Final Wars.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the nuclear pulse can send monsters reeling back pretty bad, but Miles, I don't think so.
Remember in the Pipeworks games when Godzilla would use the atomic pulse?
Oh, right, the atomic
and it would just like
and then
catapult it's like the opponent like clear across the map.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
Well, then again, you also gotta remember those Showa suits are anorexic, so that's why it sent him so far.
Well, there's nobody in the suit when it's airborne, so yeah, it's like a kite. It just gets caught in the wind. Gorosaurus just gently floats down.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think what was another one? I think King Kong vs. Zilla was another one that used Miles. When it's like Zilla was thrown into buildings by the electrified Kong, like it says that Zilla was thrown into like miles of buildings or something. I forget something like that. But yeah, it's just I think even just 1 mile.
The other note
would be okay.
Yeah. 1 mile could be like, okay, Godzilla just let loose everything he had, like, and that like, okay, maybe I could see it, but Miles, like, I mean, it basically was a launch site. Also, how freaking big is Monster Island again?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was
jeez.
gonna say. How big is Monster Island?
Like, I'm pretty sure this thing is only like maybe like 5 square miles. Like you would say,
Tops.
maybe
Yeah.
10. Like, or like at max. Like, it doesn't look too big. Honestly, it's like a little island chain.
Right.
Yeah, Gorosaurus would be thrown to the next small island next
Yeah,
to it.
that's what I was gonna say. Like maybe Gorosaurus was just tossed to the other island. But other than that
Yeah.
hilarious, leaping, like just that exaggerated, testament of Godzilla's nuclear pulse, the match was, again, it was kind of what you figured, that, Gorosaurus didn't stand too much of a chance, but he did get in a couple of nice moves when he could, so.
Gorosaurus should have won. I'm sad.
Don't worry, Gorosaurus will win.
To be fair, I
But
like the fact
Gorosaurus- Oh,
this also is like one. Apologies, but I was gonna say this is also one of the first matches where you have Gorosaurus fighting a monster many tiers out of his league, and yeah, he may not have won, but it still like sets like this trend where he would fight like Monster X and Destoria. So, yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's always kind of the thing with Gorosaurus. Now that I think about it, like he literally like charged up to Ghidorah. It's like when he first, like at the beginning of the fight and destroy all monsters, like he charged up to Ghidorah, got hit by a gravity beam, and then later on, he's the one responsible for kicking down Ghidorah. So it's like Gorosaurus
It's not
got
just
balls.
that. Keep note that it's hard to say how much Gorosaurus actually weighs in Destroy a Monster because his size increased.
Mhm.
But King Ghidorah in the Showa era
Right, it's like 100 meters
is
tall,
30,000 tons.
Yeah.
He had no help when he did this. When he rushed Ghidorah and he bit Ghidorah's neck and dragged him down,
Oh yeah.
he dragged King Ghidorah down
Mhm.
physically by himself.
Mhm.
The only other monster in the Showa era that was able to do something like that was Godzilla himself.
Mhm. Right.
Which
Yeah,
is,
so
which
strength-
is a testament to the strength of Gorosaurus'
Oh,
jaws and his literal upper body strength to be able to do
Right. Gorosaurus is a pretty, he's a pretty heavy hitter, and again, for being a monster that's sort of generally seen as a bit of a lesser tier monster, he will fight greater monsters than himself. He will fight.
Yeah, it's if you team him up with any of the other lesser monsters that have habits of just going blindly ahead and fighting bigger tier ones Anguirus.
Mhm.
A team up between Gorosaurus and Anguirus would be a pretty unstoppable team. I've actually been tempted to write that match.
Mhm. Right.
Like Goro and Aang versus Godzilla.
Oh, right.
Well-
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think someone kind of beat you to that with the Baragon and Anguirus, because I thought those were a good combination in the fight.
Yeah, Anguirus. Oh, not Baragon. That's another really good combination.
Mhm. Right.
Oh wait, actually, you know what? There was a combination. Actually, it was here we go.
Is it where they fight Gororin?
No, it was everyone fighting. Oh, there was Anguirus versus Baragon versus Gamora versus Gorosaurus versus Titanosaurus, and then there was also one where they all fought King Kong.
Oh, wait, that's right. I think it was a King Kong and Gorosaurus versus Kumatsugami match, right?
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Well, no. There was a match where I think it was Titanosaurus got other monsters, and it was I think it was Baragon and Gorosaurus. Don't quote me on that though. Let me
I'm going through the King Kong matches right now.
Right.
Monster Mania versus King Kong Gorosaurus is match 80.
Mhm. Right. Again,
And
a lot of these won't be for a while, but hey, we'll kind of get there when we get there. But
Again, we're just giving hints of the future and all that jazz.
Mhm.
So
So that was. Oh, okay. Well, actually, real quick. Yeah. Everyone else had their chance.
King Kong versus Goro, Titano, and Baragon.
there we go.
It's match 43.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. So, GVJ, what were your thoughts on this match for Godzilla going in check on Minya to kill him?
I thought it was a pretty good match with a tooth and claw. I really loved the subplot in this. The subplot being Godzilla reenacting The Shining to try to find Manila and kill him. And Gorosaurus was the actual hero of the story where he's trying to defend him. Unknowingly.
Of course, the secret subplot we all knew was there.
Yeah, they were actually fighting in a maze while it was snowing, so yeah.
Yeah.
And then once Godzilla won, he just froze to death. And that's where Rage Again comes from.
Okay. Other than that, MM, did you have any thoughts besides the incredibly exaggerated distance?
Gorosaurus should have won. Shame on you, Titanium. How dare you make out Gorosaurus?
Gorosaurus is king of the monsters. He can't win.
Gorosaurus is god of the monsters. He should have
won. But yeah. Well, that was Gorosaurus versus Godzilla, and we will see you guys next time for match 20, also known as the world's shortest match. Until then,